Welcome back to Turning Hard Times into Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor, and I'm really glad to have with me for the first time Max Porterfield. And Max is the Chief Executive Officer and President of Callinex Mines. He has been there since June 1st of 2014. I've known Max for a number of years, probably 8 years or so, since he worked with Amir Adnani at Brazil Resources and also Uranium Energy Corp. I mean, these are a couple of companies I've been following for a long time, have a very high regard for Amir Adnani, and I know that Max, having worked with Amir, has certainly would have a lot of the good attributes that Amir has as a manager, very highly regarded, not just by me, but by the junior resource sector. And so I was really pleased to see Max head out on his own here with, well, not on his own, he's got a team, of course, but to head up this company. And Max is, the company that Max is heading up now is it trades, its symbol is CNX in Toronto, and you can buy it in the United States under the symbol CLLXF. There's only 33.8 million shares outstanding for Callinex, and at 25 cents U.S., it gives it a market cap of around $8 million. Very small market cap, which is exciting for me because I see some tremendous potential, and for that we want to talk to Max to get a better sense of what the potential is for Callinex. Thanks for joining me today, Max.
Thank you for having me.
So, how did you decide to leave Amir? I mean, you worked with Amir a number of years, and what did you see here with this opportunity that caused you to make the break and to head up this company?
Well, I've been very fortunate throughout my career to have some great mentors. Frank Holmes over at U.S. Global Investors,
sure,
one of them, and then working with Amir at BRI and Uranium Energy Corp, where he's done an excellent job of growing both of those companies respectively, despite the current market environment. And when the opportunity at Callinex came about, it was really kind of struck me as an opportunity because of really three key things, and there are three things that really will drive a junior exploration company in any market environment. And it's a great team. The chairman, Mike Maslowski, is a member of the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame, very well respected, and I have a deep admiration for him. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to work with a man like himself. And then it's also had a great portfolio of exploration projects, 14 to be exact, in a great jurisdiction in Manitoba, going after high grade and polymetallic for many of those projects. So it has the people, the projects, and then, of course, the capital structure is very important. Has a very tight capital structure with only 35 million shares out, and a very supportive shareholder base. It has a really long-term outlook, which is what you really need to look for in kind of a company, in any kind of a market environment for that matter.
Who are some of your major shareholders? Are they institutions, large individuals, or what is the composition? How much does management own of the company?
Management currently owns roughly nearly 10% of the company. In terms of the share, I'm sorry?
Yeah, I said that's really good. I like to see that.
Yeah. And actually, two of our directors, one of which Mike Maslowski, our chairman's, actually increased their position here recently. In terms of our other shareholders in the shareholder base, it's very tightly held. Roughly 50% of the overall outstanding shares are held by a number of investors that really have followed Mike Maslowski throughout his career, notably Carlo Civelli, who has actually come on as chairman of our advisory board as a significant shareholder, as well as many of the investors that kind of follow his lead. So we're very fortunate to have him not only be a shareholder, but an active one that's an active advisor in the company on the capital market side of things.
Now, I believe this is your flagship property. It's called Pine Bay Project. You say you have 14 in total, but Pine Bay Project is your flagship, I believe, right? And that has a historical resource, not a 43-101 compliant resource yet, but it's a 1.6 million tons grading 2.81% copper. I mean, that's really rich stuff. Can you give our listeners some sense of the various metals that are factored into that 2.8% copper equivalent grade?
Yes, certainly. So absolutely, the Pine Bay Project, alongside our Flin Flon projects, are our flagship projects where we have our ongoing exploration. That makes it one of the largest land packages within close proximity to Hudbay's processing facility in the heart of Flin Flon in northern Manitoba. Now, with that being said, of that 1.6 million tons, the largest resource on our Pine Bay project is the Pine Bay deposit itself at 1.1 million tons, roughly grading 2.8% copper. And again, that's just copper. With these VMS deposits, what makes them so great is the fact that they are high grade, and again, you look at the grade we just discussed here, but also more importantly, they're polymetallic. So if you look at the VMS deposits in the Flin Flon Greenstone Belt, you're going to have to get between a 50 to 60% base metal component. And when I talk base metals, I'm talking copper to zinc, and the rest is made up of precious metals and gold and silver. So with that, if you look at our Pine Bay deposit at 1.1 million tons at 2.8% copper, you can see there's really a large potential to increase that with future exploration on the project area, because there is a 3-to-1 ratio between zinc to copper with these deposits in the belt. So again, what we're looking for is a copper, zinc, gold, and silver deposit in these VMS deposits.
Yeah, so it's but I mean, just to put that in perspective, 2.8%, people can do their put their pencil to the paper and see how much that could be worth at current copper prices. But that's a very rich. Is that a typical, Max, of the kind of grades that have been common up there in the Flin Flon area?
Yeah, absolutely, it is. You get anywhere between these grades up to 5% copper equivalent across these deposits. Wow. I think if you look, a good example of how we're not too far off of something economic here is if you look at Reed Lake, operated by VMS Ventures, in a joint venture, and actually Hud Bay is the operator of that mine, a joint venture they had there with VMS. I mean, that right there is a 2 million ton ore body grading roughly 3.5% copper equivalent, where they're actually trucking that ore 120 kilometers away to go to that concentrator in the heart of Flin Flon. Wow. Whereas, our project right here, the Pine Bay project, is 30 kilometers by road that already exists. So we have that infrastructure, we have that proximity to that infrastructure that's absolutely critical.
You had reported on April 24th 18.1 meter intersection that graded 5.5% copper. Over a longer intersection of 44 meters, it was 4% copper. I understand that this is one of the highest grade holes ever drilled on that property. How does this? What's the significance of this? Is this a step out? Was it an infill drilling, or can you tell us, how important was this hole? I mean, one hole a mine doesn't make, but obviously, how does this add to the understanding of what you have there?
No, absolutely. Coming into this, as we were evaluating the project portfolio when I came on a year ago, a lot of the properties had a lot of opportunity with Pine Bay and this deposit and the resources that are on Pine Bay itself. A lot of it was historic. The Pine Bay resource or deposit that we have on the property today was discovered in the 1960s. And there hasn't been much drilling really on that whole project area since the mid-1990s. So with that being said, we did a huge data compilation over the past 12 months since joining the company. We've digitized over 700 drill holes and then laid ground geophysics over choice areas for ongoing exploration. But part of that process is you really want to verify that historic data compilation is indeed accurate. So that particular hole went through the Pine Bay deposit. It was very good to see that it confirmed the data compilation that we have, which now makes us confident in a potential 43-101 compliant resource moving forward. And I think it also brought a lot of attention to how high grade the deposit and perspective the land package that we have at Pine Bay and our Flin Flon projects are.
You mentioned to me infrastructure. This is an old mining camp, so that's a big advantage. Also, of course, Manitoba, I guess, politically friendly, probably pro-mining province in Canada. But what can you tell us about one of the factors that was appealing to me was the notion that there may be an ability to have your ore toll milled or milled so that you might not have to build your own mill to have production come out of let's say this first deposit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's absolutely the case. If you look at the Flin Flon, the concentrator there at Flin Flon, it's got an excess capacity right now. There's 2 mines that are feeding into that processing facility. You've got the 777 mine. That was actually, to be frank with you, it was actually discovered on Callinex Mines exploration land packages. It was an option that Hud Bay had on that company, and Callinex makes up the exploration spin out of all those projects. So with that being said, the 777 mine still is being processed in that processing facility as well as Reed Lake. So there is still excess capacity should we, drum up and increase our resource base or make an all-new discovery aside from just the Pine Bay deposit that exists today, that ore has capacity to go there, and a toll milling opportunity. But I think more importantly, we'd be an acquisition target as well in a scenario where we were to make a large discovery. It would definitely get attention. If you look at the mine life at 777, the mine life at Reed Lake, they have a 5-year and 4-year mine life respectively. So there is going to be a need for new ore to go into this processing facility, and we're looking to meet that need.
How far is Pine Bay project, for example, from that mill?
The Pine Bay project is 13 kilometers, like I say, as the crow flies, by road that exists on site. It's 30 kilometers by road. You can drive up there. In fact, the Pine Bay deposit has a head frame and a shaft that's already been sunk there. So it's 30 kilometers by road for Pine Bay, and then for our Flin Flon property that we're doing some exploration on this summer, that's 3 kilometers away. In fact, some of those claims are actually in town there.
So you'll be drilling this summer. You'll have an exploration program going forward. Is that one of the things that investors should be watching?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's absolutely one of the critical things the investors should be watching. Is we do have a fully funded exploration program that'll be commencing. It's actually our second phase of our 2-phase program that we announced in January of this year. So we'll be testing and looking for a new discovery at our Flin Flon and Pine Bay projects, and that should commence in July or August, around that time.
You have 14 different projects, or different targets, I guess properties, right? And so, do you have plans to do something with them when you can raise the capital to do it?
Definitely. I think that any exploration company needs to keep a deep pipeline of exploration projects, and that's something Mike Maslowski always was well ahead of the curve on, is really putting together a great portfolio. So those projects are in the stable for future exploration. And really, we wanted to focus, our exploration programs today in proximity to infrastructure that had excess capacity. In a few years, is going to actually need that capacity to continue moving forward there.
Are there any plans to take that Pine Bay project into a 43-101 resource anytime soon, or are you just sort of going to drill and sort of try to see what the extent of your deposit before you start to establish a 43-101 resource?
Yeah, I think that what we're looking at doing there is we want to continue to do the exploration that we're doing, and Phase 2 is the integral part of that, and then continue to evaluate when we'll be looking to establish that compliant 43-101 resource. It doesn't make a lot of sense, in terms of creating value for our shareholders to do so, then need to turn around and, immediately update that. So we'll continue to reevaluate and evaluate when we'll do that 43-101 resource. As for the Pine Bay deposit itself, a lot of the legwork and the big costs to putting together a compliant resource report has already been incurred, and we've done so with the data compilation work and in this confirmation that we've done. But actually completing that report is something that we'll evaluate as we continue to do exploration moving forward on the property.
We just have another minute and a half or so left, Max, but in summary, can you tell our listeners why that they should pay? There's probably a couple of thousand junior mining companies out there. Most of them have somebody waving their arm and saying, we have the greatest thing since sliced bread. Why should people pay, just summarize, why should people pay more attention to you, to Callinex perhaps than many of the others out there?
Well, I think it's the same reasons for the reasons that it attracted me to come join Callinex as president and CEO of the company. Again, you've got a great team headed up by Mike Maslowski, a member of the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame, who's attributed to 16 discoveries that went into production. 13 of those are in Manitoba, and 12 of those are in VMS. We're in a great jurisdiction. It's high-grade polymetallic, so in up market or down market, we're going to be economic should we make a commercial discovery. And again, we've got a tight capital structure with long-term supporter shareholder base. So from that to that end, I think we're definitely worthy of investors keeping track of our developments. We are active, and we're here to deliver on the milestones we set for ourselves.
No, I certainly like the three factors you mentioned, Max, and one of the reasons I added you to my newsletter. Of course, the management, the properties, the infrastructure, the jurisdiction where you're at, the tight share structure can't be emphasized enough because I've seen so many people lose so much money with dilution. So to have a management team that's conscious of that, skin in the game, and that's very important. Management owns a lot of shares, so all those reasons, folks, I would suggest that you do pay some attention to this company as they continue exploring. And what is, Max, the website? I didn't write it down here. What is the website they can go to keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah, you can visit our website at callinex.ca. That's CALLINEX.ca.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Max, for being with us, and we'll look to do it again sometime in the not-too-distant future.
Thanks so much for having me.